I woke up out of bed the other night after having a crazy dream. I dreamed that I was in the Army and had some equipment, I was moving some stuff, and as the load came over, lost control of the load and it fell and wiped out this Army tent that had all the cherry pies in it cooling off after the baker had baked them. They were screaming that I'd killed the cherry pies. And that made me think of an interesting but true story that happened in the Army. Of course, a few of the names and places will be changed to protect the guilty, innocent. But it all started out, and the words I remember that ringing out in my ears was when that sergeant major said, "Son, you've killed my cannon." And I knew that there was some kind of hell coming down the line now. But it started out, me and a few of my associates were having an ETS party because we were getting out early. The ETS is expiration term of service. And as fate would have it, this party was occurring on Friday the 13th. And we were supposed to get out the following month around the 9th. But we were in the barracks having this party, and a bunch of us just partying down and having a good old time and drinking all kinds of beer and everything else. And along about 11 o'clock, my roommate, who's from the Carolina area, said that we need to go get some more beer. And I knew that was a bad idea, but we hopped in the car and we headed out, and we went down to the local mini mart on the base there to get some more beer. And on the way back, he said, "Hey, turn left here." So I made a quick left turn, and he stopped. So I stopped. We're right beside the artillery battalion headquarters. And he hops out of the car and runs across the lawn there in the dark and lifts up the front of this big brass cannon. Lifts up the nose of it, and runs back and gets in the car. And I said, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "I got a plan." It's like, oh hell, we're in for it now. So we scurried on back to the base there, and we were driving my other roommate's car, Killer Craig Ed Kane. Killer Craig Ed Kane came to the unit, and he was Alfred E. Newman with blonde hair, spitting image of him. He was from California, no less. And first day he come to the unit, he tried to get in a fight with somebody, and old first sergeant said, "You're a real killer, aren't you?" And the name just stuck with him. He was quite the party animal. But anyway, he had passed out about 3 hours earlier, so we were driving his car, I was driving, and we got back to the barracks there and gathered up 3 more guys, and the 5 of us headed back over there and parked at the back of the battalion across a little field, and snuck over and picked up this cannon and rolled it off its concrete pad and down across the grass there and wrestled it across a set of railroad tracks, tied it to the rear of the car, and off down the road we headed. We were heading back over to where our barracks were at. And just as we were running on the corner there on this dirt road, one wheel decided to come off. And these are big wooden wheels with metal rims around them, like the old wheelwrights used to make. And it rolling out there across the prairie, and the other wheel shattered when that happened. And we left a rooster tail of sparks about 30 feet high in the dark sky there. And it was something to behold, let me tell you. And of course, we ground to a halt pretty damn quick. And before I could blink an eye, my associates were gone. It was me and the old boy from Carolina. And we're back there trying to untie this rappel rope and get that thing unhooked. And that rope was tied, it wasn't coming loose. Of course, we couldn't find a knife on us at the time. And boom, we got the hell out of there and got back to the barracks. And it wasn't maybe a minute and a half later, and the company CQ, charge of quarters, opened the door with his key and come in, and they're trying to wake up old Killer Craig Ed Kane, because that was his car. And they tried everything trying to wake him up. Of course, he had been passed out for 3 hours at least, and he was dead to the world. Finally, I'm over there laying there pretending I'm asleep. I said, "I'm the one that did it, I was driving the car." So he escorted me to the battalion headquarters, our battalion headquarters. We were infantry. And had to see the battalion officer of the day, this lieutenant. And the lieutenant gave me one of those "oh my God" looks and took me into his office and closed the door and said, "Son, I'll deny this if you ever say anything about it, but that was a damn great thing you did, because it was about time for us to give some payback to them artillery guys. We owed them for a while. You know how them pranks go, but God help you in your ass. So 8 o'clock that morning, I'm in full dress uniform standing in front of the Sergeant Major of the artillery battalion. Because the colonel, luckily for me, was out of town. And the first thing that came out of that old Sergeant Major's voice, he bellowed like a drill sergeant, "Son, you killed my cannon." And I could tell he did not have much sense of humor for the situation. So he proceeded to berate me up one side and down the other and everything else. And by the time I limped back to my company, when all was said and done, I had to pay $400 for them to find a wheelwright in the backwoods to make a new wheel for that cannon. And $20 gas for that Sergeant Major's time driving around. And every morning I'd show up for muster between the 13th and the 9th of the next month, and they'd call roster, and I'd say present, and then the CO would say, "Do you have my money, son?" And I'd say, "No, sir, I don't." He'd say, "Well, I'm not signing them papers till you give me the money." And I'd say, "Sir, I can't give you the money till you sign them papers." So on the 9th, when I was scheduled to get out, me, the first sergeant, and the company commander were all standing at that pay window. I signed those papers, and they counted out my final money to me, and I turned and counted $420 out to the company commander, and said, "Thank you very much, have a nice day." And I went and bought me a gallon of rum and went home. And that's a true story, folks.